A warm welcome to everyone. This is the Gadgets and Wheels segment. And at the same time, it's also the air roller cycling segment because Ausom has sent us another scooter to review. Previously, we had the DT2 Pro here, and now it's the L2 Max. Well, this isn't a small gadget either, as you can probably already tell from the picture you're seeing. This is an 850 euro scooter, and 850 euros is definitely not a small amount of money. But once I start telling you what this scooter can do, you'll be nodding along thinking, well, that's actually not bad. But let's start right away with the fact that it weighs 33 kilograms, which is actually a lot. So this isn't something you'll just toss onto a train and head into the city, then ride around on it there. This is specifically a scooter designed for long distances, and on top of that, it's basically an off-road scooter. On the one hand, the 10-inch tires also have an off-road tread pattern. And on the other hand, the entire design and robustness of the scooter are meant to support off-road riding. I think by now I've ridden a lot of scooters right around this area, off-road here and there, and in my opinion, riding a scooter off-road is relatively crappy. Regardless of what kind of suspension it has, it's always going to shake because of the small wheels, and there's just nothing you can do about that. At the same time, if we talk about what this scooter can do, we can immediately say that it has two 1,000-watt motors, one in the front and one in the back. Their combined output, for a short period, the peak power is 2,688 watts, which is just an absurdly high amount. By the way, it has a C-type suspension in the front and an elastomer suspension in the back. I always have issues with the C-type suspension. Last time with the OTD, I had problems with that too. Because if this geometry is poorly designed, it often results in the wheel having no trail, which makes it prone to spinning out and causes wobbling. But this machine with this frame is actually really well done. You can clearly see it has the kind of geometry needed so the handlebars don't get ripped out of your hands. I didn't feel particularly bad riding it, but I wouldn't say it's the safest scooter I've ever stood on. On one hand, because you're standing relatively high, it's a bit more prone to tipping, and on the other hand, it's just insanely powerful. Plus, the 10-inch wheels, for this level of performance, it wouldn't have been bad if they were, say, 11 or 12 inches. But overall, I'd say this is a scooter you can use safely as long as you have enough sense for it, because you can ride it recklessly too, and in that case, it's pretty much guaranteed you'll end up with a big fall. With 2,000 watts, you get an insanely high top speed. Ausom claims the top speed is 64 kilometers per hour, but I actually exceeded that. Obviously, it also depends on what kind of road you're on and how much you weigh, but I managed to hit 70, and going 70 on a scooter, no matter what kind it is definitely not a guarantee of safety. Moreover, a painful shortcoming of this machine is that it comes with cable disc brakes instead of hydraulic ones. But surprisingly, these were well adjusted from the factory. So I haven't come across a scooter like this before. I've always had to adjust the brakes on all of them. I took it out of the box and it was good, though it might not be the case for everyone. So make sure to check it yourself. But otherwise, these brakes work quite well. But still, this isn't necessarily the best solution for this level of performance. It has a 20.8 amp hour 48-volt battery, which is big. It says the Ausom has a range of 90 kilometers, 70 kilometers, okay, and I'd say that's quite a lot too. And what's definitely important about it is that it has a load capacity of 130 kilograms, which is a bit more than what an average scooter can usually handle. So really, if you're a bit bigger or heavier, or if you're really, really muscular, and because of that you go over 100 kilos or even 120, then you can still have plenty of fun with the Ausom L2 Max. All right, I've talked enough. I'll grab the camera and show you what the machine is made of. Okay, left handlebar grip. It's a grip with holes like this. This is actually practical because your palm doesn't necessarily get sweaty on it. Here's the cable brake, and you can see that the adjustment is really spot on. This control here, for one thing, includes a horn, which isn't working right now because I haven't turned it on, but in a moment, plus a turn signal and a DDM button, which stands for dual drive motor. Here you can choose whether you want to ride with single or dual motor drive. In the middle here is our display, and now comes the moment when I turn on the machine. And now there's something on the display, but you can't see much. You can bring the display to life with an NFC tag. And well, it's not very visible right now, but I'll try to shade it. So this is the same display as the one we've already seen on the other Ausom, which means you can adjust the level in 3 steps. Right now it's on Eco, but you can set it to Sport, and you can even set it to Race. And you can also toggle this dual drive motor. Its icon is this little 2-wheel symbol here. When I toggle it, it disappears and then comes back. So basically, you can say you have a total of 6 levels because there are 3 in single mode and 3 in dual motor mode. The thing is, if you switch to dual motor mode, you'll have the same level of restrictions. So in eco mode, it goes up to 30 max. In normal mode, up to 50. Or, well, here they call it sport mode. With that, it goes up to 50. And in race mode, as fast as it can go. And whether you use dual drive, meaning 2 motors, or just one, that actually affects the dynamics of the thing. Because if you only use one motor, it accelerates a bit more slowly. But if you use both, then it goes like a bullet. And actually, both wheels can spin out too. So there's definitely plenty of power in it. And it's good if you know how to keep it under control. You can flip up this little thing here so you can tighten these screws better, which of course hold the handlebars. And now I'll show you the turn signal. So theoretically, we're signaling now. Yes, the display shows it too. And the turn signal now from the back. Well, if you really look for it, you can see it, but honestly, not really. It's more visible from the side, and I have this weird feeling that, okay, it's here, but on the front part of the Trepton, there's also something like this. It could be here too, but this is just a plain plastic cover, not a light. So, I don't know. I think this is a dumb turn signal. That's all it does. And by the way, here on the other side, you also have the cable brake in this control unit where you can adjust with plus and minus. If you hold it down, you can control the connection, the light, and the on-off switch, and you have a thumb throttle, or rather a thumb-operated throttle, which, as you can see, can be pulled here, and the zero start is disabled, so I can pull it freely. Now, the thing is, I like the thumb throttle. It's comfortable for me because I can still get a good grip on the handlebar, and I can just pull it like this. But somehow this didn't turn out so well because it gets caught on the brake. So this could have been designed a bit more ergonomically, so it's not really ideal. But honestly, maybe I would have preferred a thumb throttle now. But this is what's on it, this is what it can do, this is what it offers. Here's the little latch you can use to hook it in when you fold down the handlebar stem. Handlebar stem, internal cables, external cables. By the way, it's really good, and I really like this. I've seen it on other Ausom models too. Here, please, are 2 charging ports, both exactly the same. And the good thing is that you can charge with 2 chargers at the same time, though they only include one. But it's 84 watts, so it's pretty powerful. And what's really interesting is that, well, you rarely see something like this. That the Trepton has lighting, so this part here is always glowing blue, which actually looks pretty cool at night. Though it's a bit strange why it's there, but whatever. That's what they came up with. This little rear footrest is really nice. Of course, we also have a rear light. You can see now that this machine is pretty dirty already because I've been riding it on this dirt road. So yeah, I brought it off-road and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. By the way, the front C suspension is actually quite clever. They put the headlight down here. This is a pretty focused headlight and it's mounted quite low. But at least you won't accidentally blind anyone with an unexpected glare. And here's this clearly visible knob. If you gently turn it, the entire sturdy metal bracket smoothly comes out of its secure place. And then, if you tighten it, well, you can tilt it down, or rather it just falls down, honestly. So that's all it does. Obviously, the point is to put it back in place as securely as possible, and then it won't rattle while you're riding. By the way, you won't be tilting it down much because at 33 kilograms, you really don't want to be lifting this thing. I didn't want to either, but I had to. I put it in the car. It actually fit. So that's what the front part can do. All right, so now I'll start talking about what it was like to ride it. Just a moment, I'll put the camera back. The thing is, riding this machine, if you're not off-roading but just on regular roads, it's actually quite stable, very dynamic, insanely fast, and incredibly powerful. Which means that on flat roads, it really can reach that top speed of 60 to 70 kilometers per hour, and you still don't really feel like you're about to lose control or want to bail out. But you do start to think that if something were to happen at 60 to 70 kilometers per hour, it definitely wouldn't end well for me. So I actually didn't push it that hard. I mostly used around 40 to 45 as my cruising speed here on the nearby roads, not on dirt, but on asphalt. And I felt really, really comfortable with that. On this gravel dirt road, which has a lot of rocks, bumps, and pothole-like spots, well, I think around 30 is about manageable. Of course, you could go faster with it, you could show off, or even do some cross-riding with it. It's just that I have the impression that one wrong move, and it's going to hurt a lot. So for me, 30 was more comfortable, and even that wasn't really comfortable. because even though it has front and rear suspension, it doesn't absorb everything, especially not on these rocky roads. And so you're constantly putting one of your feet at the back, always trying to counteract the suspension a little with it. And it's tiring, so you're really working your calves, that's for sure. But obviously, that's just the nature of this kind of thing. There are people who really love scootering off-road. They've probably already built up their calves for this, so for them, it's not going to be uncomfortable. But in my opinion, scooters aren't really meant for off-road. This road, I would say, is just about okay, since it's not that bumpy or full of potholes, but obviously I wouldn't take it on forest trails in Transylvania. But on these gravel roads between two settlements, it actually feels really, really good. It's very stable, it doesn't slip to the sides, even on looser ground. Plus, thanks to the two motors, there's so much power in it that even if it starts to sink into looser, sandy, or gravelly terrain, it just pulls itself out, so you twist the throttle and it easily gets itself out. For me, it's kind of a habit by now that when I set off, I start in eco mode with one motor, because you can start off really smoothly like that, and if I want to accelerate, then I switch modes. With two motors, I set the speed a bit higher, and honestly, with two motors in sport mode, I think it's enough for anything. Race mode is for those who like to test their limits, and I try to put that as delicately as possible. So that's all good and well, but this is definitely not a beginner scooter category. It's truly that powerful that, for one, a proper helmet and maybe some additional protective gear definitely wouldn't hurt at all. And secondly, this is the kind of category that you really shouldn't be riding on bike paths. So it's already so big, heavy, and dynamic that it can even be dangerous. On public roads, because of its small wheels, it's not really ideal to ride, since you could easily hit a manhole cover or a pothole at the edge of the road, and if a 10-inch wheel goes into it, you'll go flying over the handlebars. So I find it hard to figure out where it fits in an urban environment. But I'd say, especially for scootering between small villages or settlements, it's actually really good for that. Just now I rode from there. It's a good 7 kilometers on a road like this, or I could have taken the main road, which you definitely shouldn't scooter on. There's no other option, so there's no bike path or anything, just roads like the one I'm standing on now. And for making this trip, it was perfectly fine. And if I don't head this way, but that way, because I want to go to the other village, say, because my relatives live there, then that's another 5 kilometers. And again, it's either I go out onto the main road, or I make my way along these kinds of roads behind the gardens. And honestly, for this purpose, this scooter is basically suitable. So in a given case, if I were living here permanently all the time, and I knew that I'd often have to go into the neighboring towns or to the nearby small city, then maybe I'd have one of these myself. Whoa. There's a problem. I've never seen a person here in my life, let alone a quad bike. Well, anyway, I don't like quads, to be honest. All right, it is what it is. So anyway, here's this machine. And now I should give my verdict on it. And regarding that, here's what I think. I believe that the price of 850 euros is actually quite attractive. Now, there were some issues with the previous Ausom. For example, with the previous Ausom, there was a recurring issue typical of that model, that the tire wasn't mounted properly, and air would get in between the tire and the rim. Or it would just leak out, the tire would go flat, you'd pump it up, and it would go flat again. Well, I've been using this thing for a few days now, and I haven't had any problems like that so far, and I hope I won't have any in the future either. But actually, if you set that aside, even the DT2 Pro was already a pretty well-made machine. And of course, whenever a video like this comes out, there are always a bunch of comments and feedback from people who only recommend branded high-quality scooters like Dualtron or Segway, for example, even from people who say come from Kukirin and claim that this is so much more stable. The truth really lies somewhere between the two. It's not as stable or as well built as a really high-end branded scooter like a Segway, for example. However, I think it far surpasses the standard of Kukirin. Firstly, in terms of stability, secondly, in assembly, and thirdly, in comfort. The deck is wide, nice, and long. The footrest is comfortable. There are plenty of controls. The display is easy to see. It has two motors. Switching between them is easy. It has turn signals. Maybe not the best, but still, it has them. So there are a lot of extra positives I can mention about it. And what's more, what I really like is that you can even charge your phone from the front, because there's a USB-A and a Type-C port, and you can remove this whole panel, and then you can even put an AirTag behind it. So you can tell this is a well-thought-out machine. It's not just something they cobbled together from whatever was in the warehouse. but someone actually designed it. Someone put thought into it, someone had ideas, and they incorporated those into the product. It actually has NFC or code-based starting, and there are a bunch of cool little features which really make it easy to like. And the dual charging is exactly the kind of thing that's great for career-type people. You can take 2 chargers with you. You can fully charge the battery in 3 hours with the 2 chargers at the same time. And then you can go another 70 kilometers with it. So from this perspective too, I'd say that it delivers what you'd expect from a scooter in this price range. And it even has some extra features. Well, I've talked quite a lot about this machine. Honestly, I really enjoyed using it. I won't say it's the most comfortable thing in the world to ride a scooter off-road, but considering it's off-road and a scooter, this machine held its own quite well. I would say that for anyone who needs a scooter specifically for this kind of environment to get from point A to point B, this is definitely not a bad choice. It's worth checking out what the competitors are. I might swap out the brakes for hydraulic ones. That's something I'd still add. But otherwise, I don't really have any other major issues with it. It's a properly functioning machine. That's all we could fit into this video. This was the Ausom L2 Max. Thanks to Ausom for sending it. Hallelujah. For anyone who's intrigued by this and feels like they really need one, there's a coupon code in the description. You can order it there. And by the way, if you'd like to see more similar videos on the channel, you can subscribe using the buttons around me. And to those who are already subscribed, thank you so much. Keep up the good habit, and I'll see you very soon in the next video. Bye.